Good morning. My name is Ed Scott, and I'm pleased to be your worship associate this morning. And on behalf of First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, Delaware, I welcome you to this worship service. Whether you're here in the sanctuary or joining us online, you are welcome. All are welcome here, especially this morning. Welcome to our service of Ingathering. Here, it matters not where you are on your search for truth and meaning, nor how you identify, nor who you love. There is room for each within the embrace of this community. And now, let us each, individually and collectively, prepare our whole selves for worship. I ask you to please rise as you are able and join in the singing of hymn number 347, Gather the Light. Gather the Spirit, pardon me.
This you, Vinny. Thank you. Thank you, Puma. All right. You can sit over here, too, guys.
It must be our Ingathering Sunday.
All right.
So you can have a seat if you would like.
Here's your water, Ari.
This morning for our unison call to worship, I and Kathy and Catherine are going to teach you a song. So I'm going to sing it through once. Then the second time I'll sing line by line, and you'll sing each line after me. Seems simple enough, right? But then we're going to complicate it just a little bit because it's a zipper song where we'll be adding some words that we receive from you. So you'll be asked to think of one word that defines the quality or the character of this church that you'd like to invite in for this year. We'll explain it all, and Catherine will help guide those words. So let me start first by teaching you the song, and then we'll start singing. Let's build a church for you and me. Let's build a church for you and me. Now you'll sing after me. Let's build after me. Let's build a church for you and me.
Let's build a church for you and me.
Let's build a church for you and me.
Let's build a church for you and me.
A place where we can be happy and free.
A place where we can be happy and free.
And so now we're going to ask you to think of a word. If you have one, raise your hand and Catherine will get it. Oh, I think, Catherine, you already got one, and I'll start. A loving church. Go ahead. You can gather some, Catherine. A loving church for you and me. A loving church for you and me. A place where we can be happy and free.
A peaceful church.
A peaceful church for you and me. A peaceful church for you and me. A place where we can be happy and free.
A safe church.
A safe church for you and me. A safe church for you and me. A place where we can be happy and free.
A sacred church.
A sacred church for you and me. A sacred church for you and me. A place where we can be happy and free. Give me another one.
We got joyful.
A joyful church for you and me. A joyful church for you and me. A place where we can be happy and free.
And a hopeful church.
A hopeful church for you and me. A hopeful church for you and me. A place where we can be happy and free. We've got one person that really wants to share their
Reverend
word.
Paula.
Friendly.
A friendly church.
A friendly church for you and me. A friendly church for you and me. A place where we can be happy and free. I could do this all morning, but I think we're going to stop now. So now we're going to sing that first verse that we began with, Let's Build a Church for You and Me. But this time, you might want to stand as we sing it. And if you do, you might also want to build that church with one other person. So, for example, it might be a church in the round. It might be an A-frame church. It might be, I don't know, a church with wide open doors. Okay? So stand if you'd like, and let's sing that first verse again. Let's build a church for you and me. Let's build a church for you and me. A place where we can be happy and
family to come forward and help me with the lighting of the chalice this morning. If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to join in the lighting of your chalice as the Oswald family lights the chalice here in our sanctuary, and I read these words. The circle around the flame is a symbol of our connections. The flame, a beacon, lighting our path forward as we lean into a new church year full of promise, renewal, and this blessed community. And now, if you would please stand and join me in our affirmation of our mission, and remain standing afterwards as we sing out the children this morning. Together, First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action.
So the children will be staying for the gathering of the waters retreat.
Okay.
So this year, our congregation joins with Unitarian Universalists from around the world, from many places, in the annual Gathering of the Waters ritual, which is sometimes called the Water Communion. Some of us have brought a small vial of water to add to our common bowl. If not, we've got you covered. We've got some extra water here, some backup pitchers of water here that you may use. Into this common bowl, we will first pour the waters that have been reserved from the past ingathering services of this congregation, from generation to generation. As Catherine prepares to pour this water first, let's pause. And I want to invite you to bring to mind the faces and the memories of those who may have passed, who you want to remember. Say their names softly in your heart or aloud in this room.
Or you may also want to reflect upon your most cherished memories of this congregation. The people, the events, and the qualities that make this a beloved place for you as I pour this water into our common bowl.
So again, some of you may have brought some water from a cherished place. It could be from a place that you visited this summer or even from home. If not, we have the water that's available here in these pitchers. We will gradually add to this common bowl waters representing the well springs, the life storms, the renewals, and streams of justice. Before you come forward to add your water, reflect on what you want your water to represent. It may represent or remind you of a special place, or maybe your water represents for you the well springs of your life. Please take a moment to reflect on what it is that upholds you, that supports you, that strengthens you, or gives you hope.
Maybe your water represents a life storm. Please take a moment to reflect on those particular challenges that we or those we care about may be facing now. Your water may represent the life storms that you have weathered and may still be weathering. In challenging times, may we each feel surrounded by a greater love and by the loving presence of this congregation.
Or your water may represent renewal. Take a moment to reflect on your yearnings for renewal. How might each of us open ourselves to reconnection and renewal in spite of whatever challenges we may be facing? How can each of us be sources of renewal for one another?
Or maybe the water represents for you the streams of justice. The Hebrew prophet proclaimed, "Let justice roll down as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream." Bring to your mind and heart all the places in the world where you want justice to flow, and where we as a congregation can be part of creating that mighty stream of justice.
So, as we gather again for this new church year, we receive with open hearts and a compassionate spirit one another's experiences, just as these many waters are gathered and received in one common bowl. As we come forward, the choir will be singing a song to accompany us in this ritual of the gathering of the waters. Please use both aisles as you come through so we can move through this efficiently, and then return to your seats, okay?
And we invite the children to come up first.
Okay.
Do you want help with the lid? Okay, there you go.
So I can help you.
You want me to help?
Do you need help?
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm not good at opening.
Okay. We're going to pour it in that bowl. Wait till your sister's done, okay? Good. And then take your bowl. And you can go sit back down, okay? Good job, lovely.
Just a minute.
Hi,
Come
baby.
over here.
Pour a little bit in, just a little, because we need the whole congregation to fit.
Pour it in.
Okay. And just a little bit. Just a little. Okay. Good job.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We already did. Okay. That's
You
what?
guys got some?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can use this.
Just a little bit. Perfect.
Everybody else. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. I go down, down to the water, in the water I feel whole. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down, down to the water, by the water I feel whole. Can you manage? Do you need help? Water heal. Good idea. water I feel whole. Water, heal my body. Water, heal my soul. When I go down, down to the water, by the water I feel whole. Water, heal my body. Water, heal my soul. When I go down, down to the water, by the water. You can come around this side too. Water, heal. You can come around this side too if you want. Water, heal my soul. I come down, down to the water, by the water I feel whole.
When I go down, down to the
Someone trip it.
Bowl in which we have gathered all of the various waters that we have brought to this place. Let us savor this moment. Let us feel each other's presence and the uniqueness of each person's experience. Let us open ourselves to the interactions that will change, transform, support, and hold us, this church here. May we be blessed by one another's presence and by the transforming waters of life that flow to us and from us to the world to be a presence of healing and liberation. So may it be. Amen.
And now we will sing the children out. And the children, please don't go through the door without
Have you ever seen a helium balloon? You notice that they tie a string to that balloon so it won't just go anywhere as it floats up towards the sky, right? So someone has one of my toes, my left toe, has a string tied around it because I feel like that helium balloon. I'm filled with joy to seeing us all and to be here this morning. So hold onto that string really tight. So let's join together in a time of meditation and prayer. In this time of prayerful meditation, I've incorporated the words of the Unitarian Universalist ministers John Burens and Rebecca Ann Parker from their book, A House for Hope, The Promise of Progressive Religion, in the 21st century. Hope rises. It rises from the heart of life here and now, beating with joy and sorrow. So let us attend to the hope arising in our heart right now. Hope longs. It longs for good to be affirmed, for justice and love to prevail, for suffering to be alleviated, and for life to flourish in peace. So let us sense these longings of our own heart and of this gathered community. Hope remembers the dreams of those who have gone before and reaches for connection with them across the boundary of death. So let us remember those who have gone before and our sense of continuing connection with them. Hope acts to bless, to protest, and to repair. To thrive, hope requires a sustaining structure of community, meaning, and ritual. Only with such habitation can hope manifest the spiritual stamina it needs to confront evil, endure trouble, and hold fast to that which is good. So let us feel and continually create the presence of this community as a house of hope where hope can thrive. In the silence that follows, let us sense the relentless ever-presence of hope rising, hope longing, hope remembering, hope acting, hope blessing, and hope thriving within and among us. Let's join now in our shared silence. Each week as we gather, we take a time to attend to whatever we're holding in our heart. We may be holding a joy that lightens our heart, a joy that is spilling through us into the world, a blessing that we've received this week, or an anticipated joy or an ordinary joy. Or we may be feeling the heaviness of a concern for ourselves or someone else. So in the moment, I'm going to invite you to first share whatever concerns or sorrows you may be holding, and then after that, I'll invite you to share your joy, either online, if you're joining us online in the chat, or in this room. So first, let's hear what are some of the concerns that you are holding in your heart that you may want to speak aloud in this room. We need not hold these concerns alone, but hold them alongside one another. Carry each other's burdens as if they were our own as well. What joy might be just peeking around the corner in your life or just staring you right in the face that you might want to share in this room with one another. Is there a joy or a blessing that you'd like to share?
My grandchildren.
Don't get too carried away. Any other joys? Ingathering. Okay.
22 years with my
Okay.
first choir.
First in choir. Okay. So may all the names who were spoken and those unspoken find peace and healing this day.
Okay, we're going to learn a new musical meditation this morning around the idea of hope. I'm going to sing a line, and the choir will help you learn the line by singing it after me. So sing along with them when you start to feel comfortable. The words are in your order of service and up on the screen. We have hold my hope, hold my trembling, hold my heart, teach me to be loved. So I'll sing the line first. Hold my hope, hold my hope, hold my trembling, hold my trembling, hold my heart, teach me to be loved. So you start here. Hold my heart, teach me to be loved. Good. So now we're going to start from the beginning and sing through it several times. If you feel a little unsure at first, wait and come in when you feel comfortable. Okay? Here we go, all together. And hold my hope, hold my trembling, hold my heart, teach me to be loved. Hold my hope, hold my trembling, hold my heart, teach me to be loved. Hold my hope, hold my trembling, hold my heart, teach me to be loved. Hold my hope, hold my trembling, hold my heart, teach me to be loved. Hold my hope, hold my trembling, hold my heart, teach me to be
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, First U Choir. It's so wonderful to be with you today and to hear your music. And thank you to the AV team, which is also allowing those who are joining us online to be with us this day. It's great to see you. So when I was a young adult and still in college, I was recruited by the Minister of Religious Education at the local Unitarian Universalist Church to be part of a teaching team in a new program she was launching at the church school. Caroline Fenderson and I had met because she was also a guidance counselor at the elementary school, where I was doing a year-long internship in developmental play therapy as part of my program, my college program in psychology. This religious education program was for first and second graders, and it focused on the themes of being at home in the world of nature, being at home in our own bodies, and being at home with ourselves, and being at home in the communities that we create. It had an ingenious way of introducing these primary school children to being at home as a fundamental human and religious sentiment. Through the exploration of the natural habitats of animals, we learned the various ways that animals build or find a home. Through teaching the development of a child in its first home, the womb, we learn the miracle and the wonder of the human birth process. Through actively creating a community in the classroom, an open space classroom, where each child with a large refrigerator box created their own house and decorated it the way they wanted and figured out who they wanted to invite in and who not into their new home. Children learned the importance of creating a special place to go to where they could reflect and nurture their own self, and also how to create a neighborhood among these houses in our open space classroom. It was a fabulous experience for the children, I believe, but even more, it was a foundational experience for me as I learned more about this idea of being at home as a core religious idea. Without belaboring the idea right now, it was a dramatically different kind of religious education experience and perspective than I had in the religious education program in my Roman Catholic upbringing. Now, don't get me wrong, I mostly valued my Catholic religious education programs, especially during the junior and senior high years when there was a lot of experimentation and deliberate attempts to openness, experimentation, and focusing on social justice and engagement in the world. However, there was still this lingering undertow from these experiences in my Catholic religious education. Both explicitly and implicitly, the message that tended to be brought was that humans are only sojourners on this earth, that our real home that we were preparing for was heaven, where we live eternally with God if we made the cut. In my upbringing, there was this idea that we were at war with the temptations or the pleasures of our body, and being at home in our bodies was not an explicit emphasis. Individual expression was mostly not valued as much as conformity. So during this experience of teaching first and second graders in this UU religious education program, I had an immersion into some of the distinctive underlying theological perspectives in Unitarian Universalism, which included a focus on this world and not an overemphasis on the world to come. An honoring of our humanity as innately good and the world as one of original blessing in the natural world and the human communities, rather than the emphasis on human depravity and original sin. In fact, the song that we sang together in our call to worship this morning comes from that religious education program that I participated in years ago. Let's build a church for you and me, a place where we can be happy and free. As you recall in the singing of the Zipper song, we invited you to intentionally think of the qualities that you wanted to invite into this community this year. A joyful church, a safe church, a loving church, a playful church, a hopeful church. Since this is our Ingathering Sunday of the new church year, it's indeed a time to set our intentions for what kind of church community we want to build and cultivate and create together. Church is not an add water and stir experience, although we did gather water today. We must be the church. The church is not something someone else is going to do for you. If we are to be a presence to one another and a healing and liberating presence in the broader community of Wilmington, it is up to us to declare and to decide what each of us is going to do to build this church, to build this community this year, right now. Do I hear an amen? Perhaps the most challenging quality. Did they do some? Yeah, okay. They're always threatening to do that. I'm glad they do it. Perhaps the most, keep you on your toes, it may come again. Perhaps the most challenging quality to actually be intentional about these days is that one that included the verse of hopeful. It's not easy to be hopeful these days. It's much easier to be despairing. While there is something inherently hopeful in our Unitarian Universalist approach to life and to religion, are we simply naive? I took the question with me as I explored this topic of hope through the perspectives of various people over the last several weeks. After all, I had set my topic for this Sunday weeks ago, Hope Calls Us Home. So I sincerely hoped I could have something to say about it. So what I first learned across all of the various perspectives I explored is that we often have some misconceptions about what hope is. Our confusion may then lead to a diminishment of our capacities to cultivate hope, because these misconceptions can often lead us to skepticism and cynicism rather than towards a pathway to embody and to act on hope. So I read the words of a psychologist, a global consultant, an activist, a Buddhist Quaker, a poet, and some Unitarian Universalist clergy. Now, I will only summarize the highlights of what I learned from them. I took on this task because I believe that we deserve to have a nuanced understanding of hope, more nuanced than usual. And I also believe it is essential for us to do so at this moment, at this time in history. And I also believe that it's critical, given all the ways that we could otherwise build a case for despair or appear foolish or Pollyannish by dedicating ourselves to hope at this time in human history. Let's deepen our understanding of a hope that actually grounds us, propels us, and moves us forward in meaningful and purposeful and impactful ways. As it turns out, there are over 100 research studies on hope-filled people. Don't worry, I'm not going through every one of those research studies. That not only philosophers and poets, but contemporary naturalists and social scientists have studied this topic of hope with eyes wide open to all the reasons of not having hope. Yet their conclusions about hope, I believe, can provide for us some practical guidance. By that I mean there are some practices that we can engage in to cultivate hope. Since I personally often like to highlight in my sermon what does any topic actually mean for us in practice, I want to share some of those practices with you as well. The real significant perspective, however, are the ones that you draw for yourself and that we draw for ourselves as a congregation if we are to be a hopeful church for you and me. So what does that actually look like in practice? Well, let's start with the naturalist, Jane Goodall. Who's heard of her? Okay. She's the world's most famous living naturalist, most known for her work with chimpanzees in their natural habitat. When Goodall was asked why she can be hopeful, she makes her case in a way that is grounded in seeing what is really happening right now, and one that is not an ideological hope, but a call to practical action. So I'll quote from her response to this question from the conversation recorded in this title, The Book of Hope, A Survival Guide for Trying Times by Jane Goodall and Douglas Adams. Goodall offers this perspective. I'm facing up to the facts, and on many days I admit that I feel depressed, days when it seems that the efforts, the struggles, the sacrifices of so many people fighting for social and environmental justice, fighting prejudice and racism and greed, are fighting a losing battle. The forces raging around us, greed, corruption, hatred, blind prejudice, just are ones we might be foolish to think we can overcome. It's understandable that there are days we feel we are doomed to sit back and watch the world end, not with a bang, but a whimper. She's drawing from that line from T.S. Eliot. Then she traces her own 88 years of living. And the history of those years included such things as Hitler and the Nazis, the Cold War and the threat of thermonuclear war, the torture and the death of millions across the globe, and what she calls many dark periods of so much suffering in the world during her lifetime. Given our own current predicament and the challenges of her own history of observing the world, she was asked a second time by the interviewer, do you honestly believe there is hope for our world, for the future of our children and our grandchildren? And she responds in this way, I am able to answer truthfully, yes. I believe we still have a window of time during which we can start healing the harm we have inflicted upon this planet. But that window is closing. If we care about the health of the natural world, we must get together and take action. She clarifies further, what is the hope I still believe in that keeps me motivated to carry on fighting the good fight? What do I really mean by hope? And like everyone else I read, she first has to dispel some of the current misconceptions that many of us have about hope. She says hope is often misunderstood. People tend to think that it's simply positive or wishful thinking. I hope something will happen, but I'm not going to do anything about it. This, she says, is indeed the opposite of hope, which requires action and engagement. What does it require? Many people understand the dire nature of this planet, but do nothing about it because they feel helpless and hopeless. I want to help people realize that their actions, however small they may seem, will truly make a difference. The cumulative effect of thousands of ethical actions can help to save and improve our world for future generations. Hope, she says, is contagious. Your actions will inspire others. Indeed, she puts this into action herself through her speaking around the world at universities and conferences and her work with children and youth in a global program that she started called Roots and Shoots. The main message of this program is that every single individual matters, has a role to play, and makes an impact on the planet every single day. And we have a choice as to what sort of impact we make. Her co-author, Douglas Adams, has explored some of the meta-analysis of those over 100 studies on hope, and he refines our understanding of hope and makes some clear distinctions that I think would be helpful for us. Adams states, when we focus on the future, we do one of three things. One, we fantasize, which involves big dreams that are mostly for fun and entertainment. We dwell, which involves focusing on all the bad stuff that might happen. This can be actually the official pastime of many these days. Or we hope, which involves envisioning the future while recognizing the inevitability of challenges. He points out that the research on hopeful people shows that they can actually anticipate setbacks along the way and deliberately work on ways to remove the obstacles. Adams' study led him to conclude that I was learning that hope wasn't just a Pollyanna avoidance of the problems, but a way of engaging them. These same hope studies identified 4 components that I think are essential to any lasting sense of hope in our lives and perhaps in the world. They include these: have realistic goals to pursue. Have as well realistic pathways to achieve them. Cultivate the confidence that we can achieve these goals. And have the support to help us overcome adversity along the way. So, each of these components is important. If one is missing, we might not have traction to move forward in actually enacting and engaging our world with a sense of hope. So let's test it out a little bit. Think of a hope that you have for your own life, for our church, or for this world. I'll pause for a moment. And then when you look up at me with a hopeful stare, I know that we can proceed. You have something? Okay. So let's test it out. In having this hope that you just named to yourself, do you have realistic goals to pursue? There's no grade on this. They're just doing this as a self-assessment for yourself. Okay? Do you have realistic goals to enact that hope? Do you have some realistic pathways to achieve them? Do you have some confidence that you can achieve these goals through the pathways that you've outlined? Do you have some support to overcome some of the inevitable adversity you will encounter along the way? So that hope cycle involves all of those. If one of those is missing, it's probably hard for us to actually act and embody and engage the world with a hopeful stance. Does that make sense to you? Each of these questions can help you hone your hope, help us hone our hopes into actual hopes, because we actually have ways to enact and to engage them. Now, we're not alone in our hopes. I am so inspired by what I see all around in this congregation of the hopes that have been enacted and engaged. What are some of those that you could point to in our lived experience of this congregation? What are those things that we are doing that are enacting and engaging our hopes? I'm waiting to listen. What are some of those? Ilya. Kappas. Explain that as for someone who might not know. Okay. What else? Solar project. The live stream offerings. Pastoral care. Peace Week. So all around us we have reminders of ways this congregation is already acting on and engaging the world with a hopeful stance. Let's keep reminding each other, particularly at those times when we may move more towards despairing than towards hoping. Can we do that? We sometimes can draw on the hopes realized by others and by collective action to cultivate our own hopes. We need to be, as Burens and Parker said in the meditation that I read, a house of hope for our time. And we need to find people who embody hope for us. I know that some of us appreciate the writing of Edith Eger, whose work as a Holocaust survivor and a psychologist in her 90s points out that sometimes people confuse hope with idealism. Edgar says idealism is a defense mechanism, not unlike denial or delusion. Hope does not deny evil, but it is a response to it. Hope, in other words, is not the same as wishful thinking. It takes into account the facts and the obstacles, but it does not let them overwhelm us. So what does it mean to practice hope when we have no guarantees that everything will turn out all right? That was the very question that Margaret Wheatley addresses in one of her recent books. How do we choose to be? Facing reality, claiming leadership, restoring sanity. And those, actually, the subtitle, are the guidance that she gives. Name reality. Claim leadership. Claim what you're going to do in response to that reality. And restore sanity. She believes that we can cultivate a sense of hope and empowerment in a time that seems to call for disempowering denial and equally disempowering despair. In a world dominated by news of record heat waves, ecological collapse, and threats to our democracy, it is what do we choose to be is the question that she confronts us with. So, some practical guidelines from the psychologist Dan Tomasoğlu. Set goals and, most importantly, take the actions towards achieving them. This sets up an upward spiral of engagement and accomplishment. Keep a healthy balance of taking in differing perspectives, but don't get overwhelmed or, I would add, distracted or discouraged by the negativity around us. Focus on the present, on what is in front of you instead of dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Be grateful for what you have, which may keep you grounded and appreciative in the moment. Be able to take reasonable risk to support growth by being willing to be imperfect and to fail. This requires developing a learning mindset and a reflectivity that asks us to reflect on what we learned from so-called mistakes. Don't let circumstances define your emotional response. Instead, formulate solutions and seek ways to overcome obstacles. I love the memorable image that another one of my teachers, Valerie Brown, who describes herself as a black Quaker Buddhist, offers in her most recent book, Hope Leans Forward. I think you'll appreciate this image as well. She writes, hope, like happiness, as you know, isn't a constant. It isn't a place where we set up camp and live forever. Hope, like happiness, courage, and bravery, is a choice. It doesn't necessarily track what's happening in our daily life or the external world around us. It's not predictable or constant. Hope isn't like a degree you hang on the wall and admire. Instead, it's more like Play-Doh. The kid's clay-like toy that you smush and squeeze and mold into shapes. Hope is malleable. So above my desk now is a framed photo that a photographer friend of mine gave to me at my ordination centuries ago. She and her photographer husband were on an assignment in Italy to take photos to include in an Italian language textbook. The photo is black and white. It pictures a woman dressed in black, sitting outside her home on a stone sidewalk with her door ajar facing the street. My friend Carol explained to me that most women in this small town in Italy who dressed in black were widows. Then she said, this was the only widow we saw who did not face the wall, but faced out onto the street. I'm encouraged by that photo each day that I see it and I look up from my desk. It's a reminder to me that we can respond to our circumstances in unexpected ways and not always be determined by them. So perhaps this week you might think about what will be your icon for hope that you can hang up somewhere where you can be continually reminded, consistently reminded to act towards hope. For me, it was that photograph. It's that photograph. What will it be for you? We can strain, my friends, to see the horizon. We can see through to our aims and not lose sight of them. We don't need to let circumstances define or limit our response. We can act on and engage the world in hope. So may it be. Amen.
This morning, as is our tradition, on the second Sunday of the month, we have a Share the Plate offering. And our Share the Plate offering this morning is in support of Planned Parenthood of Delaware. And during the next few moments, during stewardship time, the various ways that you can contribute and support this cause will be displayed on the screen. But this morning, we are pleased to have Richard Rodney from the Planned Parenthood of Delaware. He's the Vice President of Development, and he's here to share a few words with us about their important work.
Hello, I'm Richard Rodney. I'm the Vice President of Development. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to come here and fellowship with you. My mother is happy every time I tell her I'm in church. I don't necessarily disclose it's partially work, but I really thank you for having me. It's a long, hard struggle and fight, and Planned Parenthood, we continue to strive to make sure that healthcare is equal throughout our community. And we look around the community of Wilmington and we see so many people that need so much. And it's really a struggle. We reach out to our community members and ask them to give back and help as we provide support for so many people that need it. A lot of people that come to us, we're basically their primary caregiver. They don't have necessarily a primary doctor that they go to. We do a lot of various services that until I joined Planned Parenthood, I didn't even know. We do a lot of services for both males and females, a lot of education. Our education department is expanding so much and really helping to teach the community. And we're looking at barriers that have prevented people from not only getting care, but also learning. We just are in the process of working on an educational piece that will be done in all sign language so that we can help include people in that community. We are very big on prevention and care and nurturing and just want to make sure we stay committed in the community. Before I started with Planned Parenthood, I've been doing nonprofit work for, let's just say, a mighty long time. All my jobs have been in the nonprofit sector since I was in the 10th grade and started working. So, yeah. And let's just put it this way. I could be a grandfather, but I'm not, and I'm not in a rush at all. But I've been doing healthcare for many years. My mother's a retired nurse. My sister is a currently women's healthcare reproductive nurse in charge of women's reproductive health in New Jersey. So we're big on healthcare and just making sure we value our community and we give back to our community. So work is not really work if you like doing what you do. So that's a very good thing about being at Planned Parenthood. And again, I thank you for your support. If you need any information, please feel free to come to our website. I'll make sure I leave some information. We have a chocolate and champagne. It's our annual gala fundraising event in Hocassin on September 30th. I'll make sure I leave some information for that. But again, I thank you for helping us to continue to ensure that our community has access to quality health care.
Thank you, Richard. This is really important work for our fellow Delawareans. And I thank you for your generosity this morning in support of their efforts. And now, please join me in dedicating this morning's offering. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate the lives, and these are offerings.
If we want hope to survive in this world today, then every day we've got to pray on, pray on. If we want hope to survive in this world today, then every day we've got to pray on. If we want hope to survive in this world today, then every day we've got to pray on, pray on. If we want hope to survive in this world today, then every day we've got to pray on. If we want hope to survive in this world today, then every day we've got to walk on, walk on. If we want hope to survive in this world today, then every day we've got to walk on. If we want hope to survive in this world today, then every day we've got to walk on, walk on. If we want hope to survive in this world today, then every day we've got to work on, work on. We want to survive in this world. Then every day we've got to move on, move on. We want to survive in this world today. Then every day we've got to move on, move on. We want to survive in this world today. Every day we've got to march on, march on, march on. March on, march on. Every day we've got to march on, march on. Teach on this world today. Every day we've got to teach on, teach on. Teach on this world today. Every day we've got to teach on. Sing on, sing on. Every
As we extinguish our chalice this morning, may we feel refreshed and energized by the renewal of hope and community from this service of ingathering. Carry forward the spark kindled by that hope. Know that together we can be a force for good in our lives and in the lives of all that we encounter.
So, as you know, this is our Ingathering Sunday. Following the service, we have a time for fellowship in the parish hall right in the back there. Some of you may have brought your lunch. We also have ice cream and water ice for anyone who would like to have it. It's a time for celebrating and reconnecting with one another. Catherine asked me to announce that there is a parents' meeting, a short parents' meeting, in Bruner Chapel after the service. In the parish hall, you'll also find our book for our book study in October and November entitled On Repentance and Repair, Making Amends in an Unapologetic World by Danya Rutenberg, Rabbi Danya Rutenberg. We'll be starting these groups in October and November. You might want to get ahead on the reading so you can purchase a book if you'd like from us or your favorite bookseller. There's a concert coming up, the first of our concert series this fall, Sunday, September 24th at 2 p.m. Many of these details are in the printed order of service that you may have picked up, so you can look at what's up ahead. Next week, we'll be putting out our live stream brochure, our fall programs for adults in personal and spiritual growth and social transformation. I'm really excited about the work that the team has done on that. I'm looking forward to the various programs that we will have. So following this short benediction, we'll sing together our closing hymn, number 95, There Is More Love Somewhere. Take a moment to introduce yourself to someone, to welcome a newcomer or someone you don't know. And then let's join together in a time for fellowship. These words come from May Sarton. Help us to be ever faithful gardeners of the Spirit, who know that without darkness nothing comes to birth, and without light nothing flowers.
Thank you.